The chains have been unlocked. Can the Miz be trusted while Maryse is having her me time? Let's all talk about here right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
I wasn't expecting that either.
What a shock.
Shout out to our producer, C, for pretty much
I love
surprising
that
us.
music. Much better.
I know, thanks for the surprise. But as we are both here talking about Miz and Mrs. Thank you for joining us and tuning in here on this week's episode. But before we talk about the episode, we just want to say, hey, we're not going to be here next week. We have some stuff going on, but we'll be back the following week talking about, the 2 episodes in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So tune on to that and, but moving forward, Leslie, what you thought about the show?
I thought it was really cool. Again, it was a balance. So kind of like, guy time versus like mommy time. So girl time versus like guy time. So we saw the difference between like guys versus girls. So I really liked it. It was cool.
I thought this was the most funniest episode.
Really?
I legit laughed, obviously, like you were there. And I usually just don't really laugh when I watch, some shows that are supposed to be funny. But I just had a good time because I like to see the Miz and his buddies coming over, and we got to see Maryse hanging out with her best friend, which we never seen before.
Right.
So this was the first time. Mm-hmm. So that was great, and she kind of, in my opinion, her best friend, I believe her name was Amanda.
Yeah.
She looks kind of like Marjo a little bit, like a younger version of Marjo. Am I? I don't know.
I don't know about that. We have one person in the chat, Joseph Bosa. What do you think about that? Do you think her best friend Amanda looks like a young version of Marjo? We'll see what he says.
I don't know. I mean, it's
probably, I don't think so.
I got a new eye exam today, so maybe that could be it. But pretty much we're going into this episode of The Miz purchasing a beer fridge.
Yeah.
And it's a chain, 37. He only has one out of the whole country. There's only 37 of them.
Right.
And what it does is pretty much, if your team wins, it unlocks. Unless you know more than I do.
If the Browns win.
Oh, if the Browns wins. Then, if the Browns wins,
then the chains automatically unlock. So it's supposed to be like this theory that if the Browns win, the chains will automatically fall off.
I wonder I'm curious to know if this specific fridge is just only for Browns fans or if they have them for multiple teams.
Well, obviously you don't watch football, so let me teach you a little bit. So the Browns are not known for winning a lot of football games.
Right.
So they lose a lot. So a big win is a big, big deal for them, as we saw in this episode. So that's why I think like this fridge is maybe just for
Browns
fans. The Brown, like their team.
Right.
Because it's rare when they win. So I thought it was cool. I didn't even think something like that existed. I'm sure they have like Bud Light has fridges for like every other team, but I don't think they have chains where it automatically falls off.
I wonder how that works. And
same.
after this episode, I'm going to research it, and when we come back, we're going to discuss a little bit more, hopefully.
It was cool though. I didn't think it was going to happen.
And it did it did happen, and I like how they were trying to shotgun a beer. And they're like, oh, I'm too old for this. And, oh, my God, that made me crack up.
Yeah.
I love the fact that these guys, I thought, because last episode, we saw kind of a preview of this. So I thought some of his friends from back home were going to fly in and watch this. But no, we got Ryan Cabrera, who is a singer. He's pretty, I don't want to say he's pretty well known, but, he's dated a few celebrities and, he had a song. And obviously we get to see Dolph Ziggler, who's a WWE superstar. In fact, this is the first time I've ever seen Dolph Ziggler on any television in a very long time.
Well, he was on Total Divas.
Well, I'm talking about like on Smackdown or Monday Night Raw.
Oh, right.
So we haven't seen him on WWE TV
in
a very long time. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
So Oh, and then obviously the next day they are all hungover.
Yeah.
Dolph is sleeping in the pool.
Yeah.
Miz is on the couch. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, I just love like every moment. I love, obviously, like the end of the game is the most exciting part. So watching them like for the last couple of seconds and them counting down and like seeing them react to the fridge and then seeing their progress from like getting buzzed to getting completely wasted was super funny, especially when they like jumped into the pool and they once they got the paddle boat and then like just that whole like, I don't know, series of events. That's what made like the whole episode. The fact that you see like their transition from being sober and just watching like a regular football game to them getting completely wasted, which is cool because it's like I don't think the Miz does that. Obviously he doesn't on a regular basis because he doesn't have time. So it was cool to see him kind of let loose a little bit and have fun. And also like I know Dolph Ziggler is a very big Cleveland fan because he's from there too. Not only is he a Browns fan, but also a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, which is their basketball team. So yeah, so I know they're like buddies when it comes to sports.
I didn't know Ziggler was from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, that's why they're really always like into the sports.
Okay,
it's him and Miz always together. So that's why I think he was part of this episode.
I mean, I should know because they announce where they're from every time they come on the ramp.
Right.
But I mean,
but I don't think he does. Dolph Ziggler, they don't say he's from Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
They say something different.
Oh, Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because
Hollywood.
It's a wrestling thing. But we're gonna go back to the Miz and Mrs. I enjoyed this because this is what I wanted to see more of this show. I wanted to see more of the Miz letting loose and obviously Maryse letting loose, even though I wanted to see more of Barbara and George. But yeah, this is something that, you know, was a fun episode for me. You know, I feel like watching him on The Real World again, you know, having fun, being a college kid, all that fun stuff. And we now get to the point where Maryse is having her own time and the Miz is taking care of Monroe with his two buddies. And as they wake up, Maryse is like, what the heck happened? And Ryan Cabrera's getting an IV. Dolph is saying, hey, take a Bloody Mary, it'll help you. Miz has a pounding headache. Now Maryse is to the point where she's getting the opportunity to have her own time and relaxing with Marjo and her best friend. And they go out to a spa. They go out to dinner. Just a very great day. Yeah. What'd you think of the fact that these guys are taking care of a baby while Maryse is going out? Do you think that was, did you enjoy?
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The whole point of this was for them to find, like, time for themselves. Like, they started the episode with them struggling, finding time for themselves individually. So
I like the fact that they were mocking the girl.
Yeah.
Like, it was
so they were talking about, like, how a girl, you know, was posting on Instagram how she was finding time, how she's a mom, but she finds time to go to the gym. And Maryse is like, I don't even find time to go to the bathroom. So the whole point of this was for them to find time for themselves. So it was nice to see that the Miz was able to do that, and the Miz wanted Maryse to do that as well, because yes, as a mom, you kind of carry more of that like responsibility, especially because she stays at home and she takes care of her and all that. And I think doing this also teaches the Miz really the role of a mother and how much like effort, time, and how exhausting it can be, like, a whole day. Yeah. So that's why, and you could see, like, him stating, like, wow, Maryse is such a great mom. Like, I'm tired at the end.
And he had two other dudes helping him.
Yeah, and he was like, you know, screw this headache. Like, Maryse, who knows how she's feeling every day, and she still has to deal with her. And I'm complaining over here over a headache that he kind of caused because he was hungover. But it's important, you know, to showcase, like, I feel like there's meaning behind, you know, everything that they do. Right. So it's cool. I feel like the Miz and Maryse have changed their roles now as celebrities, you could say, where they are more of, like, figures in the sense of, like, parenthood now. So instead of, like, they're showing people that they can still be fun, but at the same time be good parents.
Right.
So they're not showing like, oh, you know, that they're miserable or anything like that. They are showing that they're struggling, finding time for themselves, but at the same time, it's like, you know, it's like a balance.
Right. And like a lot of people think that, oh, because they are quote unquote celebrities, they can have a nanny or they do that. And what I like about them is that they don't need a nanny, like, and they don't want one, which is perfect because a lot of people have that, even if you're a celebrity or not. And I understand, you know, you have kids and you're working, but at the same time, you know, if you, how do I say this? If you don't have time to take care of your child, then why have one?
Well,
you know what I mean? I mean, accidents happen, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, but the thing with but you know, I just enjoy.
I feel like you can't really say that because you can't really plan for a baby. Like, even if you plan for a baby, you can't plan for everything. Like, no matter how many lessons you take, no matter how much advice, no matter how many books you read, like, there's no way you can prepare for motherhood. Like, everything is just, like, as you go. And like Maryse stated, like, you know, she was completely lost. Like, it's pretty much you kind of have to figure it out.
But she didn't need a nanny. She figured out on her own. That's what I'm saying is that pretty much when you...
But she didn't, like, necessarily plan for it either. I don't think they planned to have a baby either.
But what I'm saying is if you have a kid and you don't have the time to pretty much pay attention to it, why, like, I don't know. I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
So pretty much so she's out in the spa having a good time, and pretty much she's trying to contact the Miz, and Miz is contacting her, and we got to the point where she looked like she was wrapped in a cocoon, and she looked like she was relaxing, and even her mom was like, "Hey, just relax, enjoy the time," or her best friend. I'm sorry, her best friend was saying, "Hey."
I didn't feel like she was relaxing. I feel like she was still in the back of her mind, like, anxious over her phone.
Do you think that the reason why she acted like that is because not because she didn't trust the Miz, it's because she hasn't been away from her baby
and
that
I think
long?
like,
even though she knows the baby's with her husband, of course. So
well, it's the same thing. Like, you've seen it. Like, I've watched Total Bellas and Total Divas. So like with Brie, even just like leaving Birdie one whole day with like Brian, you know, she gets that guilt. Like, so I think it's like this mom thing where you just get this guilt. But even if you're like know that they're with like your family member, your husband, and you know that they're gonna be okay, even though like they're just born, it's normal, I think, for her to react that way. And I think because she's so used to being at home and like just being with her 24/7, it made sense for her to feel like
the
anxious.
difference between Brie and Maryse is like Brie was just nervous to see how she was gonna be by herself with Brian. Maryse was more concerned of the Miz trying to take her to class on time.
Well, not just that, and like if the Miz was gonna be able to, you know, follow through with like her necessities. She didn't verbally say it, but obviously like her body language, and that's why she kept calling, because she wanted to check in and see, what are you doing? Is she okay? Is she napping? So it's kind of still the same thing.
Well, I mean, she's fine and alive still. Yeah. And the three guys, you know, pretty much handled it pretty well. They went to the class, and it looked like Ryan and Dolph were having way much more fun,
definitely,
than Miz over here. Because the moment where they're pounding and everything, the music,
the drums,
the drums, and the camera goes straight to the Miz, that had me laughing because I thought that was so funny. Monroe was having a good time. They're both. The lady says, you know, now hug your child, you know, now hug mom and dad. And now Ryan and Dolph were hugging themselves. It was just, I was waiting for them to hug each other.
I know, right?
But this was interesting. I wanted to, you know, I'm curious to know what everyone else thought of three dudes coming in for one baby. That was so interesting to me because like when you are a parent and you see three dudes coming in, you're like, oh, this is new. But, you know, go ahead.
Both was like, she found Dolph passed out in the pool. Ryan was passed out in Monroe's bed. Mike passed out on the couch. Maryse had 4 kids to take care of for. Which is pretty much true. Like, it was 4 children, like, going crazy. And now she was like, what happened?
I wonder how Dolph got into the paddle. How he passed out.
He probably just blacked out from so much alcohol.
I'm surprised he didn't fall in.
Right. That thing seems pretty sturdy. If it was like, remember last week it was Maryse, Marjo, and the Miz all on at the same time. So I'm guessing it's pretty comfortable.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he got a great tan. So pretty much with this episode, you know, Maryse is having a good time with the spa and everything. They're having a good time. And she kind of like, I feel like they both kind of did a white lie with each other. Yeah. Because he asked, oh, are you having a good time? And she's like, yeah. And then reality, she really wasn't. And then with him, he said, oh, we had a great time, but he was not really, I mean, I'm not saying they weren't having a great time, you know, with the situation, but more of like, they kind of, you know, said a white lie to both of each other, saying that we both had a good time, but we kind of really didn't because this happened and then this happened.
Well, I think it was more for Maryse. Like, she was lying and she kept repeating it over and over again. Even from the beginning, you could tell she wasn't having a good time. You could tell from, like, the only time I could tell that she was having a good time was towards the end, and that's because she was getting drunk. Yeah. So, and when the Miz called her and she lied that she was having a good time, she even said it like, I'm a liar, because throughout this whole thing, I haven't enjoyed myself at all. She's like, this day hasn't been fun at all for me. And for the Miz, I don't think it's necessarily him not having a good time. I think it was just him struggling. And the only reason for that is because he was hungover. So, and like he said at the end, when, you know, when they were talking about this, he was like, it was just nice to see my daughter happy in that music class. Yeah. So it also taught him, you know, it gave him like that parent like perspective of seeing his child like achieve something. Right. So I think it was more of Maryse like lying than the Miz.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that pretty much shows like why they're so perfect with each other. And, you know, not so, you know, this is, and I like these two together. So pretty much, Leslie, just tell everybody where they could subscribe to us. Okay.
Hey, everyone. First, we just want to say thank you for tuning in every week. We really appreciate it, but we could use your help. Please make sure to subscribe on YouTube, give us a rating on iTunes, leave us a comment, and thank you for making us the ESPN of TV Talk.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Joseph, who always shows up. Yep. So we're going to move on to, Leslie, move on to our, should we say news?
Yeah, it's definitely news. Big news.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, we have big news for the Miz and Mrs. show. They were actually nominated for an Emmy. Woo! So the Miz was really excited about this, and he posted on Instagram where he recognized pretty much, you know, he was acknowledging his, not the fact that it's about him or Maryse. He was just pretty much saying in his post that he likes the fact that a family is enjoying watching his own family. So the fact that he is impacting more people and that it's not really about him anymore or Maryse or like them making money or anything like that. It's just letting the world, you know, teaching the world something or letting them see their lifestyle and everyone learning a little bit about them, which is kind of nice. And that's where you see a change of perspective in the Miz. It's not just about them anymore. It's not about them making money. It's not about them becoming more famous. It's just about them kind of teaching, you know, other families, new parents, how to act, that everything is possible. You can still have fun. You can still have a day for yourself. So kind of teaching them their struggles, you know, that it's okay to have, like, you know, a drunk day with your friends when you're a parent.
To the fans, to the fans that are watching, they probably think I'm drunk and I'm not.
For more news, Maryse is having another baby. So she did post that she is 5 months pregnant. So for the next photo, we will see her tanning. in the pool where she is showing off her belly, and she is showing now. So we still don't know what she's having. I am predicting that she's going to have a boy, and I hope that she has a boy. That way they have, a boy and a girl, but we will see. So she's definitely showing off her baby bump down.
So she's currently 5 months.
Yeah, she's currently 5 months.
So she'll be due maybe end of summer?
Probably around August. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So summer.
We'll see what the next It baby will be.
Right.
And then last but not least, we wanted to update you on how Baby Monroe looks. So we just kind of want to show you a cute picture of her. Of course, she's so adorable.
Oh,
and there
so
you go.
cute.
Something to brighten up your night.
She's so cute.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all the news for
tonight.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to our predictions for next week's episode. And pretty much.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So what I love about Miz and Mrs. is that they always show a preview of next episode.
Right.
And in concluding of her being pregnant, the Miz has a little device. Have you seen those little devices before?
No.
They're pretty popular. If you go to a different country, you just put, say you're in Japan, and you put translate Japanese to English, and you say, "Hi, where can I find the best sushi place?" or something, and then they translate it into Japanese, and they'll hear it, and then I believe you could press the button and they'll say it in Japanese, and then when you press the button,
a device that
it was a
translates
device. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So he doing that because obviously we know Maryse speaks French, so she's keeping a secret from the Miz, and he ends up saying pregnant in French, and it comes back. So maybe we get to see. Do you think that's too soon for her to announce that she's pregnant, even though she is 5 months?
No, I do predict that that's her way of
announcing
to him that she was pregnant. The first time around, she did kind of trick him into it as well. Like, it was unexpected. Yeah, so then he also kind of hinted, like, Maryse is acting really weird. Like, she's super, like, affectionate and touchy, and she's not like that. So it's like, why is she being like that? And that's why she was hinting. And when she said it in French, so I do predict that she kind of went around it and kind of just blurted out like that because she didn't know how to say it.
So this is her pretty much. So do you believe that this is the announcement of her second pregnancy?
For sure.
Okay. Well, I think that it is as well. And maybe next week, maybe she's it could be possible she's playing a practical joke on him, because the first time he was was like, what, like, because they did talk about it in the past about having a baby and stuff, and at the time he wasn't ready, and then that we didn't get a lot of what will happen next week, just that part. So I think next week we'll probably see
that's
that
a good prediction, but I'm pretty sure it's like her being 5 months, it has to, like,
because
it just connects.
Yeah, because you're still, I've never been pregnant before, but what I'm assuming is when you have it takes about 2 or 3 weeks until you pee on the stick, right?
Oh,
I don't know. We don't know.
I don't know. I've never been pregnant either, but I think it's like after like the first month.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure she knew. Like, she's been pregnant once. She knows her body. She knows, like, the signs. So I'm sure she knew something's wrong. Something I do predict, though, is that we're going to see Marjo's reaction. So I'm really excited for that. I want to see her reaction, because we don't really see her interact with Monroe as much. Yeah. Like, hands-on. Obviously, behind the scenes, I'm sure she does.
Of course.
But I kind of want to see that reaction.
Yeah, and I want to see, Barbara's reaction. Maybe this time around they'll show for season 2, because, they did announce for season 2. So we'll obviously see her pregnancy during season 2. Yeah. But hopefully, they do all that fun baby stuff that they did last time. Right. But overall, what are your thoughts on this episode? What was your awesome moment?
Awesome!
Well, speaking of awesome moment, my awesome moment was when they were in the spa and Maryse went to reach for her phone because she was super anxious, thinking that it was the Miz calling her back. And she's wrapped around in like this blanket because she's at the spa and they do like these crazy like massages. So she's super wrapped around in like this blanket and she reaches for her phone and she ends up falling. So she like hits the floor really hard and then she goes to see her phone and she's like, do you want to know who's calling? And her mom's freaking out. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she's like, yeah. She's like, it was DirecTV that was calling me. So she was freaking out for no reason, knowing that like Mike is having a great time at the music class while she's over here falling over her phone, and it was just DirecTV asking if she was happy with her cable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I have two favorite awesome moments. One is that one, but also in adding to that, because it still concluded my first awesome moment. Marjo trying to, was like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Oh yeah, it was her
and then,
commenting.
you see Maryse taking a selfie on the floor.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that was funny. My other second favorite awesome moment was seeing Dolph sleeping in the paddle.
Oh yeah.
With his beautiful, luscious hair, glazing and some of it in the pool. But I thought that was so funny to me. But guys, let us know what was your favorite awesome moment. What do you think about next week? What are your predictions? What are your thoughts? Thank you, Joseph, on the chat for chatting with us in every single week. We really do appreciate that. Like I mentioned before in the beginning of this episode, I just want to mention it again that we will not be here next week. We have some things going on, but we will be back the following week. So we'll be talking about both episodes from next week and the week after. So thanks so much for tuning in. And Leslie, where can everybody can find you?
You can find me at _Leslie Cologne on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can follow me on all social media platforms at Anissa Barr. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you later.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.